124 scales, $159.99, $799.99. What's going on, everybody? Today we're here with a couple of 124 scale cars. Here on my left is one of the limited edition RTR crawlers from Hardpark RC. Now, this is a ready to run, fully built, fully upgraded, top of the line 124 scale crawler for $799. And next to it, a bone stock, brand new axial power wagon for $159.99. Is it worth spending this much money on a tiny little truck? And I'll tell you how you could win this one later in the video. The axial here comes in the standard window style box. For the Hardpark, we do have a box, kind of a box within a sleeve. We have the photo of the Dementor RTR, which is what this is called, and you've got printed sides all the way around. All of the details on the back side of the box here, going over the radio, the transmission, the wheels, tires, and a huge list of what really makes this truck what it is. Once you get that sleeve off, you're still left with this very nice case, something to carry around your truck. I run a similar type of setup with mine, so this is appealing. And it reveals what is inside. Quite a premium user experience at this point. Now, the most exciting part sits here on the right side, and it is the Dementor RTR. This thing is very cool looking, but before we get into the details of this, let's look at what's left here in the box. Now, where the truck sits in the pick and place foam, it's actually got a 3D printed insert with foam in there, you know, like additional PVA style foam that hugs the tires, the actual shape of it. On the right side here, you've got a little wheel wrench that's got a knurled fitting. It's got a 4.5 on one side and a 4.0 on the other, but just a super nice little wheel wrench. I haven't seen one of these before. Really like that. You've got a standard L-style Allen wrench here pressed into it. It appears to be an 050, the most common size you use on these little things. Goes in its nice little spot there. We've got a XT60 to JST style adapter. This makes it easier to charge the batteries that this truck uses on a standard type charger. Very nice. Next to it, on the other side here, you've got two of the Hardpark RC 3S 200 milliamp batteries. These are the same size batteries I've chosen for my own comp truck. These are a nice pack, good power output, nice and compact for that 3S size. And again, you've got two of them there in that 3D printed insert. In the bottom, you also have a handful of extra hardware, some additional springs. It looks like a Hardpark carbon fiber keychain, as well as a Hardpark rubberized Velcro patch to go on your bag of some sort. And then you've got a little Hardpark RC scale banner. Next here in the case, we've got a little 3D printed insert with a programming box for the Escape style ESC. It's just a little 3D printed case that holds that programming card. Then you've got this little piece here. I believe that this is to make it easier to haul your little truck like on a backpack or something along those lines. Again, cut from carbon fiber, some tiny little paracord-esque, you know, lanyard pieces with some carbon fiber hooks on there. The last large piece in here is the radio. Now, the radio comes with what looks like a very nice lanyard, Hardpark branding on it, more of the paracord style with a clip that is then also installed on the radio already. You've got an optional hand grip for the back side of the radio. This is a FlySky GT5. I know that these are pretty popular radios. A lot of people use these. It does have an upgraded radio steering wheel on there with some 3D printed bits so that you can drive more easily one-handed, a little bit larger, and again, carbon fiber. And in the case, you've got 4 AA's up here. You'll install those in this radio, but probably a good idea to put 4 new ones in there as well, so you've got some spares along with the ride. Now, with both of these out on the bench, obviously these are in a different class. I've actually gone over all the specs of this little power wagon, and we've all seen a million SCX24s at this point. So let's get into the details of this little Dementor RTR. We'll start at the bottom and try and work our way up from there. Now, you can see the size of these tires on here. These are 65 millimeter multi-terrain pins Obviously, it's kind of multi-terrain comp style pin, but they're a great big pin tire. It looks like they've been pre-vented. I can see the holes that have been put in the tire already to try and get the most out of them. Inside here, we clearly have a printed insert. It's got a nice bit of squish, but also has a nice supported sidewall in here. The wheels themselves, I believe, are fully from Hardpark RC. You've got the Hardpark outer rings here with their logo cut through, and those mount up to the inner barrel. Now, those inner barrels are nicely paired with their low blow style knuckles. These are a larger brass knuckle with a number of pockets machined into them where tungsten slugs are inserted to try and get the center of gravity down below the center line of the axle. A nice little bonus to that, something that's been done in the larger scales of RC for quite some time. That rolling stock is mounted up to the Little Guy Racing Parts Super 8 axles. You've got a front steering axle and a rear straight axle on here. These are nicely machined little axles with a nice amount of steering for the SCX24 size. On top of that front axle, we've got a Torrent servo. This is from 3Flow 9 RC, and it's got a very nice little machined aluminum servo horn on the front as well. The drag link mounts nicely behind that servo horn, so nothing's sticking out too far. The standard aluminum tie rod is installed. I know Little Guy Racing Parts offers a brass one of those if you were looking to add more weight for any reason. The rear axle has a link riser mounted on top of those Super 8 axles to give you a little bit more adjustment for your anti-squat. Now those axles, if you're not aware, these are Super 8 because they're 8 millimeters wider per side, 16 millimeters overall. Worth taking a look at side by side with a stock SCX24. A huge difference in overall width. The overall width on the Dementor is 120 millimeters outside to outside. This little truck's measuring around 102. Wheelbase on the two trucks is pretty similar. This truck measuring 150 millimeters, while this one sits right around 153. The links on this are all laser cut and high clearance, both front and rear. They've got a nice swooping style to try and give you the most clearance while not exposing the drive shaft front or rear. Of course, you have much more high clearance design in the rear. The front still has a little bit of high clearance added. The uppers in the front duck down to try and dodge that front battery tray setup. The rear, however, still bent up a little bit, and I believe that's probably to dodge the lower links with how high of a clearance they are. Those rear links will contact the rear cross braces, and depending on where you adjust that rear anti-squat, you could run into them even more. The suspension is all controlled by these red anodized shocks with some carbon fiber barrels on them. Now, this is a single throw shock, no telescoping or double barrel type design, depending on what you're used to hearing them called, but got a nice amount of control. The spring rate feels pretty good. It sits about mid-travel with the truck in a ready-to-run configuration. There is no limit straps, hair bands, O-rings, anything like that on the truck out of the box. All of those items are connected to the carbon fiber Dementor chassis. This is a bodiless type design, carbon fiber side plates with some SLS or resin type printed cross braces. You have the 3D printed roof, 3D printed rear deck, and the 3D printed front battery tray / cross brace in there. The skid plate of the chassis is actually CNC machined Delrin, and that is specifically machined to work with the DWS transmission that you'll find inside of the chassis. The skid plate has some bosses that are machined in that the transmission actually bolts to each side of. It's a nice, super compact transmission that's made out of machined aluminum and carbon fiber with some high quality machined titanium gears. The transmission in there also has some additional reduction compared to a stock SCX24 style. Bolted to the transmission is the Furatech Micro Komodo motor. The DWS transmission is made to run with the smaller style brushless motors, not the larger pancake outrunners, as they would run into a bunch of clearance problems with the drive shaft if you tried to install those. I run the same motor and transmission setup in my latest SCX24 and really enjoyed how the setup is gone. The motor is controlled by this Escape 32 D-Drive ESC, and it's controlled by the FlySky controller that's mounted right next to it on that rear deck. That ESC and receiver are double-sided taped to that deck lid, but nice and out of the way. Wiring's pretty clean overall. Looks like things have been just heat shrinked and shortened to not leave a lot of extra hanging around. The battery sits up here on the front. It's Velcro strapped into place. It's a little bit exposed, and it's probably not the best aesthetic out of the whole thing. The truck looks great overall. That's probably my least favorite part. Just seeing that battery just plopped on the hood and Velcroed into place. It's not the worst thing, but if you're staring at the truck as nice as it is, it's the one thing that kind of stands out. Looking at the truck, about the only thing on this that I've noticed that doesn't appear to be completely upgraded is the drive shaft. It's got a standard style plastic drive shaft, just like you'd find on the Power Wagon here. Running a lot more of the SCX24 comps, I've noticed that a number of people choose to run those stock style drive shafts compared to something upgraded, and they just call it their weak link. That way, if they break something, it's just an inexpensive plastic drive shaft. Whether or not that's your style or you want something so that it just doesn't break, you can push it a little harder. I've seen plenty of stock drive shafts break in competition, so again, personal preference thing, but you are paying for the best of the best out of the box, and you do still get plastic drive shafts. As we mentioned at the beginning, the radio is the FlySky GT5. Nicer than a stock radio. FlySky is a popular option. A lot of people choose. And for something that's, better than just a very basic radio out of the box, it's a pretty fitting choice. Now, this Dementor is number 0007. And on the case right here, you've got a little logo, little 3D printed part, and it says 0007 right there. So that's how you know what serial number you got. And this one actually belongs to a local here named Jeff Roberts. And he's going to be doing a raffle for this unit. Now, all of the details and whatnot about that, I'm not 100% sure of yet, but I'm going to put a link below to where you're going to be able to find more information on that as soon as it becomes available. I'm not associated with the raffle in any way or know any of the details beyond that is his goal. He had just received this the other day though, and while we were at our latest SCX24 comp, he asked if I wanted to take it home, do an unboxing, show you guys a little bit about what was inside of this unit. Since this is going to be raffled, he wants us to go to the winner in a like new condition. So unfortunately, we're not going to drive this one today. But being that one of my comp trucks is set up very similarly with the Super 8 axles, a Hardpark transmission, that same Micro Komodo ESC, and overall pretty similar in terms of width and length. The outside width is nearly identical, maybe just a hair wider on the Hardpark, and the wheelbase I actually run just a hair longer on mine. This one's set up with 4-wheel steer, but beyond that, this looks like a pretty sweet little setup. I think that these comp pins probably work pretty well also. If Jeff decides that he wants to put a rundown on this before it goes out, I'll make sure and get that filmed and we'll put it up later as well. But $799, is it worth it for a crawler that you can fit completely in your hand? Well, if you wanted to build something to this level and you just want to use spreadsheet logic, list all of the parts that are used to create this. Include the extras that you get, like the nicely done carrying case, the charging adapters, the upgraded radio. It's all there. You don't have to look very hard to rationalize this. It's just whether or not you want to just pull the trigger and have it done for you. And if you like the style. If your answer is yes to all those things, then the only thing stopping you is that these things sold out in minutes the first time. So you have to be quick on the next batch, or you can figure out exactly how you get to win this one with all the details that I'm sure you'll be able to find before too long. The end user experience of unboxing this and seeing how everything was completed in that case was a premium level experience. It's nice to see how well it was thought out and how it was executed. It's not something that leaves you feeling short with that price tag in mind. But now for the fun part, asking you guys for your feedback. What way are you going? Do you want to just go to the top, have it done, click buy, receive it in the mail, or do you want to start at the bottom? And do you want to throw that huge parts list at a truck like this, or start from nothing and go from there? Either way, Hardpark RC's got a lot of nice parts. Thank you to Jeff for letting me open this thing up and experience it, and thanks to you guys for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already, hit the notification bell so you see the videos as soon as they get uploaded. As always, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.